Hello and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. It is July 6th and just starting right where we left off on Friday. Didn't really do any more on crops, but friendly reminder, Friday basically did a short video showing my kind of like little speed walk through crops. Greatly appreciated that it has tools to make it so much faster without using open computers at this state of the game or stage of the game. I acknowledge, obviously, if you're in earlier stages, there's still some like probability and you don't have access to the world accelerators, but at UIV, super fast. So just have this guy running Steel Leaf, got plenty of Steel Leaf now. And so yeah, we were able to get Dyson Swarms back on level maintaining again after one exception. So I did have to set up another QFT. I will say, when I realized I needed to, I did borrow one of the other ones, but then I ended up setting up two more tier 2 QFTs to get it. And what I needed specifically was Hafnia. Now, the Hafnia is specifically used for a little like mini... Where is it? Yeah, we got plenty of Hafnia. Processing line where we go for, if we look at the steel Dyson Swarms, which it should actually, I wonder if it is crafting. Should be working. Crafting, maybe. It is not. Why are you not crafting? What are you missing now? Iridium. Iridium ingot. Why is that not? Say, try to craft like 2 million. Steps to craft, missing 2 million. I think we got some sort of loop going on here. Iridium, molten iridium cones. I have to make note of that, and I have to make sure that gets fixed, because I do got the swarms going right now, and this one should be my iridium one, right? Hyper note, this is glue. Sorry, there's a little detour. I didn't expect that this wasn't working. Netherrack. Prismaline. Should be this first one, iridium dust. Okay, that is running. I've just apparently run out of iridium. That's crazy. We'll have to work on speeding that up. I'll probably, by default, bump this up a little bit in speed and go from there. But yeah, so I got basically the Hafnia though before I ran out of iridium, apparently. Specifically used for this ultra high temperature resistant mesh, which is part of 8 of them going per 64 swarm. And this guy, you need this tantalum hafnium carbide nanofibers, and essentially, long story short, I was missing the Hafnia. So I got a QFT set up for the rare groove one, which is a tier 2. I also set up a Nequata one. This was something I set up today because I'm constantly getting plagued with waiting the reactor, the compact fusion reactors, being plagued with trying to craft more Nequata. As you can see, even with this on passive, we're still running out. Basically, this guy uses its catalyst, the simple Nequata one, to make inert Nequata dust at a very slow rate, unfortunately. And then the inert Nequata dust, you run through one of the neutron accelerators and you get out molten Nequata from that, which is good because since I've swapped all the recipes based on producing molten Nequata anyways already, because I make the Nequata in the compact fusion reactors. So this is a nice little addition. I didn't know where to stick it, so I just stuck it in the ground so I could get relatively tall. Technically, the other ones I have in the towers over there are a couple blocks higher, but with how slow the inert Nequata is made, this is fine. I don't really need to worry about throughput at the moment for that. I mean, it would be nice if it was better, but that'll first come from making this faster before it comes from making this thing faster. On top of that, just other various upgrades throughout the base. So, I might as well talk about it now. Out of order, I did upgrade the EBF in multiple ways. So, as you can see, I've got the eternal coils in there, which is nice. And then I've got UIV glass in here. because I did go ahead and set up the ability to craft the UEV capacitor, which lets us run at 16,000 amps of UIV. Now, this is a huge upgrade because what this guy, and I did it for the mega vacuum freezer below. This guy was previously running at 4,000 UEV ramps, so this is like, it would be 4 times 4, I believe, so 16 times faster. It is really fast. It's pretty sweet not to have to wait on anything out of this guy anymore. Like I said, I did the same thing down here. Got a UEV capacitor. This one's a little clearer to show it because there's less stuff going on. Got the UEV capacitor, and it's on the backside here. And then just goes right in here, 16,000 amp UIV energy hatch. Now, at some point, I will go ahead and craft the new multi-block versions of these, probably split out some of the recipes, or maybe I'll just proxy. I don't know. If you don't really need to proxy because you can just make them go faster and faster. But the new one of this, I like the look of this thing. Actually, I do think this one looks pretty sweet. I am not, however, too big a fan of the, what is it? I don't even remember what it's called. Is it like cryo something or another? Endothermic fridge. I don't really like this thing. I don't know. It looks like a weird scuba head. But not my cup of tea. But I will craft one eventually, just so that if this run does go to 2.10 or whatever it'll be, I don't run into problems. But so not a huge rush because these work just fine and I'm a fan of them. But obviously you can see I have the ability to craft more eternal coils. And the reason for that is I did change out my passives a little over here. So this one's making infinity, this one's making hydrogen. Previously, this one was making space-time. I did turn this one off for now because it uses more resources versus this one where if you put in, where's the block, this hypervisor matrix, it basically gives you a better recipe, which in this case is literally only transcendent residue, which we just have tons of now because of the other passives going on, and then molten infinity, which we do make pretty fast. Doesn't look like it's running at the moment, which probably means the compact reactors are a little backed up, but we're more than keeping up with infinity. So I did swap this one over, and this one is both faster and gives you more space time. You can see every 10 seconds I get half a bucket essentially, so going a lot faster here. So at this point, the capacitor recipes and everything that use space time, I've just swapped to using space time because it's so much faster and I can make more of it. I think for practical sake, especially as this scales up, because it looks like space time's used for UMV stuff, which we are knocking on the UMV door. If you look, I even got a bunch of the research is done to UAV energy hatches, all the components, the component block. Do plan on going full swing into UMV this week is my goal, probably earlier than later. But I know I'm going to need more space time, so that I don't know if I'll do specifically more plasma forges, or if it makes sense to do another UEV capacity here. I am being a little wary about using too many of those. I don't want to go too crazy, but I do want to speed a lot of things up. And in the vein of speeding things up, I started working on speeding these guys up. Another upgrade across for every... I decided to waste the component blocks. I shouldn't say waste, but since I am using every level of circuit just to try to help with throughput, I did go ahead and upgrade every single one of these to have UIV component blocks. And then for specifically optical, just to experiment with how well it does, I did upgrade this one to be on a UEV capacitor, and then upgraded to have it running at, this one's only at 4,000 amps just because I had those available at the moment and I wasn't waiting on crafting. But you can see just throwing that capacitor in, like, 100 million EU per tick passive loss on top of when this guy's running, it uses 134 billion EU per tick, I'm pretty sure. So wanted to make sure power shored up, and was kind of waiting on seeing if the swarms were keeping up, which they did all weekend. This iridium problem that we just saw at the beginning is news to me. So just something to work on, and just general things over here I was working on. I also, while I was at it, actually, I played way more this weekend than I planned to. So I did all sorts of random stuff. And one of them was to set myself up for adding more power. If we hop over to my Dyson swarms, I mentioned it the other day in the 1 trillion EU per tick video, but basically, technically I didn't build this one off center. I built all 3 of these off center by 1, but there was 5 blocks between here, or maybe it was over here. Either way, this whole section was off, and then I also in my head had it, what blocks were going to be shared wrong, so these kind of were off center. So basically, I shifted this Dyson swarm over, and good news, if you ever need to do it yourself, when you move this, it did not like just void the 10,000 Dyson swarms in there. It kept going just fine, so that was cool. And I moved this over to be in the center now. Obviously, I eventually moved these guys over to be centered. So this guy is ready to go up to 8. Obviously, the limiting factor now is the Dyson swarms and making sure those keep up. I'd rather have run at 4 right now while power is still going positive, which the number is still going up. So it's green at the moment, but like from earlier today, I was at like 2.0 something e to the 19th. So it is creeping upwards. But I really want to start using a lot of power to try to go way faster. I think I've been kind of over worried about power, so that'll be setting up all these. The only thing I wasn't sure about before, and I actually figured out this weekend, was how to set it up, because essentially what you do is like this structure here, which I have crafted all these too, by the way. You set another one up here, and then it uses the other multi-blocks around it to like wall share. However, I wasn't sure how to do that because it's a mirror image. It's not just like it's rotated. Like this needs to be to have this wall share. This needs to be on this side, but like expecting the blocks on the other side, like literally mirrored. It turns out you can just hit this with a wrench, like shift. Maybe it's control, because that one's going to mirror it the other way. Yeah, but basically this will actually mirror it versus just rotating it, which is cool. It's another one of those probably things I should have known for a long time now, but didn't know was a thing. So I'll be able to get those 4 set up once I get the swarms figured out, so that I don't actually like run out of swarms and then just choke my power even worse, because we are keeping up good, but we're going to use a lot more, because the plan is all those nano complex assemblies, upgrade all of those to be, I would preferably like them all running at the 16,000 UIV per tick, but for now this works. And then on top of all this, so this was all in the background of the main like progress step forward, which was the the Large Hadron Collider, which again, I love the way this looks from up here. I'm a big fan of how that turned out. If we hop down and in here, you can see, so where I left it off on Friday or Thursday, I think is the last time I actually talked about it. I only had this guy and it didn't work. Like I didn't understand what was wrong. There were a couple things wrong. The most basic of which is I really underestimated the power draw, as well as how the collider works in general. So I did upgrade, which this was the instigation of, or the, I'm drawing a blank on the word, but this is basically the reason I started crafting the UIV capacitor, was to put it in here. And then I saw how fast they are with space-time, so I was like, started plopping them everywhere and really speeding other things up. But I got that in here so I can use the 16,000 UIV laser hatches. Now, if you set this up wrong, this is still technically not enough power. It's kind of crazy. But as with most things in GTNH, somebody has done a lot of the like research work for us. So if you go to the Large Hadron Collider wiki, there is a spreadsheet. And in the spreadsheet, the part that really kind of was throwing me off is, so if you're on the Large Hadron Collider calculator spreadsheet, once you make yourself a copy, there's only 4 blue boxes. By default, it has it at hydrogen gas and UV voltage. But if we open the operating capacitor things here, the thing I should have figured because it was in blue, but I was kind of thrown off by is, so it has a constant beam energy in the middle, but in the Large Hadron Collider thing, you got target beam energy. Now you can change that. Like, it comes default as 1700 MeV and 16 cycles, I believe. I have mine swapped to match the stats of this guy right now, but you can change those, and that really like affects everything. So specifically, so I don't have my OBS set up to be able to do like web pages. Actually, wonder if there's a good way for me to swap this over. You know what? I'll figure that out for next time. I don't want weird dead air in this, but because I don't have enough time for messing around too much after this, I gotta run. So next time I'll show this off in a little more detail. That'll be, but essentially you can change those stats and change the max cycles. And what you're doing is on the right of where you can edit, there's a list of the 4 different modules, which are the ones you all construct, and then the different particles that we can make. And specifically what you want to get is the right collision energy. And you want the right collision energy with whatever cycles, like you want it. So like I have 25 cycles here, which gets me a little higher energy, but it makes the collision energy in the final stats there 11,000 MeV. So if this doesn't reach the threshold, it will just keep growing. Or sorry. So what this will do is as this adds more cycles, it draws more and more power. So like this max acceleration cycles here. And then if you don't provide it enough power, it will power fail. So in this case, to do the stats I'm doing, where I'm running this guy at or for a target beam energy of 5 billion essentially, in 25 cycles, it takes 24 billion EU per tick. Now that was like thing 1 of why it failed. And like I said, you're just looking for that collision energy. Ultimately, is the only number you worry about, because then you can look at the collision energy. If it makes it in the collision energy, it'll then make particles. Now, at some point, I feel like I'll probably go through here and set up more crafting things and split the beams and all this stuff. But for what I've got going on right now, this crafts everything. Essentially, the way it worked was, this was the first one set up, and using the default parameters, once I gave it enough energy, this gave me everything I needed, and I was able to craft these coils for the next one. And the default parameters still work for this one to craft everything, or maybe it was this one, whichever order it was. Crafted all those, and then when I finally got to having to craft the coils for this final one, that's when I just wasn't getting enough energy for the epsilon particle, and I had to start messing around with the settings over there. So if you're just doing the lower tier ones, the default stuff works as long as default setup works as long as you give it enough power. But you can mess with those settings so you don't have to bust out these crazy laser hatches to do it. And now the way I set this up is essentially the same as the original one, or the beam line and all that stuff. Now I do have the sky running, and the only reason I have it running is because all 4 of these beam crafters have like a storage capacity where you can like buffer a bunch of particles. So this one's only got 608 graviton particles, but they all should have just a ton of like backlog particles right now. And I'm just doing that because it makes the crafting faster. Like I'm not hurting for power, just wasting energy keeping this guy running and filling all the buffers. I'm fine with. I have basically what I'm about to show you, I have an override switch just to get it running. Now, you'll see a bunch of random blocks going on is because, well, here, I'll explain it. So I've got over here, this level emitters just here. So we got dual interfaces. This is the main network. This is the sub network for the beam crafter. This is on this one, we have a pattern. On the sub network, we have a level emitter. The level emitter is just set to 1. So as soon as there's an item in here, it kicks out a signal. We also have a activity detector in here, which if it detects that this thing is trying to run a craft, also kicks out a signal. Signal goes to this transmitter and then comes over here to this receiver, and then just rinse and repeat for every single one. Now, originally, I was doing it using the advanced redstone ones, the external, internal. Now I actually just figured out why it wasn't working for me before. That's funny. So it stopped working for me. Specifically, that one wasn't working because I hadn't actually had to use it for too much yet. And I'm seeing why. Well, maybe it was that one. I don't know. One of these wasn't working. I'm pretty sure it was that one. And that is because I have 2 of these signals on here. So I think they were canceling each other out. The whole reason I have these 3 blocks is essentially this guy would kick out its signal, and then I had it to a receiver, and then I had an advanced machine controller inside the source chamber to turn it on and off instead of using the redstone wireless. And it worked just fine for this one, and this one. And then when I set up this one, I thought it was working before, but it must not have been. But even with these guys, it would not let me send so this one is a external transmitter to 1401. If I had this one on 1401 and that one on 1401, the machine controller only seemed to read it when this guy ran. So I opted to do 1402, 1403, 1404, and then I just had receivers here, kick it down, and then they would just trigger to this transmitter and send. So a little more convoluted. But then it stopped working, and now I'm noticing it's because I've got these 2 different. It's probably these 2 are making conflict because, like I said, these 2 work just fine. So there's probably just something going on here where that stopped. But my solution instead was I'll just go with the old school wireless redstone transmitters that I know don't give me any problems. So that was sweet. That got that working. And then I threw an override switch on it just to buffer, at least while I'm fine with wasting power. So yeah, that's this guy in a nutshell. I haven't really thrown any patterns into any of these blocks except for... so this guy has the energized tesseract in here because it is a lot faster than the laser engraver, especially with me buffering particles like this. And then in one of these, who knows which one it is? It's probably this guy. Nope. Last one, number 4. I was way off. The other one we needed was a stable boson containment unit. This right here, this item is the reason that this guy needed to be done before the Forge of the Gods, because you need it for Forge of the Gods. It's, for one, it's just straight up in the recipe for the controller. But on the quest book, if we go here, where I have actually knocked out quite a bit of quests, this gravitational thing also needed it. You also can use this guy in the GTNH for getting dark matter, which this recipe is crazy. And yeah, so I did do the quest to make it so I'm at the point of unlocking the forge. I also, if you notice, the God Forge requires, I clicked on the wrong one. God Forge requires stellar siphon casing, which then in turn requires the celestial, which in turn requires boundless, in turn requires transcendent, which in turn requires this guy. If you can see in my crafting window, though, I don't have it crafted. Oh, actually, you know, oh no, it did. It's not crafted yet. Cool. I'll have to look at that. I don't know why that's doing that. I'm pretty sure that's a buffering input hash. Basically, I'm out here trying to craft the Forge of the Gods right now. I did everything else to go with it, but I'll save all that for tomorrow. I'm rambling a little long right now. But I am working on crafting this guy. That's the main future plan, as well as like doing some power upgrades. And then on top of that, setting up the infrastructure to be able to start going on UMV. My goal, I think, for this week will be a mixture of setting up the Forge of the Gods, and then while basically bouncing back and forth between these two projects of setting this guy up, because I know I need thousands of these blocks, which is not going to be fast to craft. I'm going to try to speed it up to the best of my ability, but also setting up the infrastructure for this stuff, which I said I've got the research stuff done, but I would like to go this, and then immediately to the component blocks to save some space time and keep things rolling fast, but also unlock the UMV energy hatch and all that jazz and kind of see where we're going from there. Yeah, it should be a fun week. Ever since basically getting the post Compact 5 and getting the first set of Eternal Coils, things do feel like they're going a whole lot faster. So we've got access to loads more power now, so just gotta button up a few things to make sure the base doesn't fall apart using all this newfound speed. Anyways, I appreciate everyone for watching. I hope you had a good 4th of July weekend, and should be back tomorrow. I don't see why not. So have a good night. Bye.